Yo, what's going on, guys? Verso here, and today I'll be doing a post-Banlist Dinosaur deck profile. And in this one, going to be focusing more on the blind second version of the deck. Think of a few options post-Banlist, but I think going second is still the version that is the most consistent and doesn't lose to as many cards as you lose to when you go first with this deck. So I think it might be the best option still. There's a few other going first versions you could try, which I'll do profiles for later in the week at some point. But started off, going to go with the blind second version. The ban list didn't really give us anything, unfortunately, since Misk is still at 1, sadly. But a few things did happen to make the deck a little more viable, which is good. Like Dweller getting banned is a big one, Shifter getting limited. Those are huge. And then just the ban list in general was just a really good ban list. So I think the deck's a little more viable than it was before the ban list, which is good. So even though Misk is still at 1, you could take something positive away from the list at least. But yeah, before I get into the profile, if you haven't subbed to the channel already, definitely do that now. Drop a like, comment, all that good stuff. It all helps me out. And if you're interested in this Dinosaur playmat or these sleeves, check out finalsaga.de. And if you decide to buy anything, use my code Reversal5 for 5% off your order. Anything you buy using the code helps support the channel directly, so definitely check them out. They got a lot of cool stuff over there, including these border sleeves as well with the dinos on them, so definitely check them out. So let's just jump right into the profile. A lot of it's like standard blind second ratios, just with adjusted non-engine. That's kind of how it works, but this list is at 42. You could cut it down to 40, but just want to fit a little bit more non-engine. And playing 42 helps you not draw the bricks a little bit as well. So I got 3 Ovies, 2 Archosaurs, 3 Baby, and 1 Petite. Still like this ratio for like a pure going second list. The 1 Misk, the 1 Kaito. Could be Rex. Doesn't really make a big difference, but I think Kaito's slightly better since it can attack directly. 2 Conductors. Ignore these disgusting ultra rares. I sold my CRs since I ordered all the QCRs. You got 1 Pink, 1 Frostosaurus, and 1 Meteorus. So these are like normal ratios pretty much for the most part. The Xenos, sometimes I play in blind second, sometimes I don't. I think when you're playing into a board, if you do get past that like initial part of your combo where you actually get to start doing things, having access to these while you're under Misk is important, because you could just go through your motions and then you get to the board of all dinos, and then you could start going into Lars and Dolka to kind of check whatever their back row is, or if they have like Fiendsmith and Paradise engrave. Since Dweller's not there anymore, Dolka's a pretty good check to that. So I think these are still important to have for when you are playing into boards, like those extra interruptions that can be a little harder to deal with. And then when you're going first, this gives you like an end board that you can make that can actually like potentially win you a game. So I think these are still fine to play. And then it lets you play Ground Xeno too, which is an extender, and in a hand trap heavy format, which I think this is. It's nice to have just any extra extenders that you can. So for the engine spells, we got Prosperity, Honorary Engine card. Just the Dig 6 is too strong. Whether you're getting engine or board breakers, it's just too good to pass up. The half damage is whatever. If you can't finish the game, you could still set up a board if you're getting that far, which can win you the game on the crackback anyway. We got 3 Dig and 1 Ground Xeno. You could play more of this, but I think 1 is fine going second, especially if you're playing thrusts. It's just not that good at going second, especially to start your turn with. You really just want it as an extender, because if you start with this and then you put like Ovi and Meteorus on the field, they could just chain to the Ovi search before you get Misk, and then if they have like something to either pop your Meteorus and Ovi or anything like that, you're kind of in a really bad spot. So you don't really want to start with this, but it's fine to have it as an extender, especially to search off thrust. We got 2 Pill and 2 Lost World. I think 2 Lost World's fine. It's not a like crazy card, but it's pretty good. This is just so you don't like clog on too many of these. And then we're playing with extra draw stuff, so you'll see one. That's all you really need. Could play another one, but decided to just play like other more impactful non-engine instead. So for the non-engine, playing 3 Fualos. Still have to wait for these to come in the mail, so I'm just proxying them for now, since I do think they're important for a blind second list. And also 2 Perulia. Probably put a third one of these in as well, but my third one is in the mail, so I decided to just only proxy the Fuas for this video. I figured most people probably don't have the Perulias since they're kind of expensive now too, so I think it's more reasonable for people to pick up Fuas out of the new Stampede, even though they're still like kind of expensive for a reprint. But the Charmies are just really good going second. They top slow your opponent down. They give you more consistency. They're just really good in this deck and pretty much any blind second deck. Then for breakers, these are still interchangeable because the format's still like new, so you don't really know what's the best yet. But I still have 2 Slayers. I think this card's just pretty versatile. The fact that it puts a non-dino engrave is nice, and you get those extra effects to either draw a card or like send another card in their field or negate something else. So you're always getting either a 2-for-1 or more consistency out of it. But I think pure YuGiOh is kind of bad personally. After the ban list, I think if you're playing YuGiOh, it's more of like a engine. You could play with Fiendsmith, or you could play like with the sharp cards or with Mitsurugi, whatever. But I think like the pure deck as it was being played before is pretty bad, since it doesn't do that much and its follow-up's really not good anymore. I got 2 droplets. I think Droplet's pretty good. I think with Dweller not being in the format, it got a little bit worse, but it's still pretty good. The main thing with this card is the cost sometimes is not ideal, so maybe this gets swapped out. Same thing with the Slayers. If I was to consider something else instead of one or the other, I think it'd be Dark Rulers, but I'm not sold on these yet, so I just need to kind of see how they'll perform in the format before sticking them in the main deck. But this is definitely an option to kind of do the same thing as these without like the cost. The only thing is you can't attack or you can't do damage, so you can't end the game when you use this. But depending on how big the boards are, this could be a good option. But if people are only ending on like 2 interrupts on the field and then the rest are like layered, this card isn't that good, but we'll see. I'm playing 1 Raigeki just as like a thrust target mainly, but I think this could be a little bit better now, but we'll see. It's just kind of an experiment. And then with Lost World, this can potentially just help you combo while getting rid of stuff in their board, so I think it's pretty good. I don't know if it's good enough to play out more than 1, but just decided to throw 1 in for now. Then 2 Storms and Duster. Storms can also act as a Raigeki, which is good. I think one of the main things that people put out in attack is like Caesar, and the Fiendsmith is everywhere, so Storm being able to hit Caesar is important because that card's crazy. And then just these can all hit back row as well, which there's a decent amount of back row. Just people setting imperms and whatever. Both sides, these are a lot better too, so I think they're just good cards. Then playing 2 Thrust, 1 Talents, and a Call By. Call By is not as good going second, but Droll's really popular right now, and Droll's really annoying, so that's the main reason I think you play this. And then Ash is in everyone's deck as well, which can be very rough for dinos to play through sometimes too, so I think playing the 1-0's fine, and then Thrust just to be able to get you back into engine if you needed to. It can search you Fossil Dig, it can search you Ground Xeno if you need an extender, or it can search you for Slayer, Raigeki, Duster, just talents, whatever you really need to deal with whatever's in front of you. So I think playing 1 or 2 Thrusts is always good. I don't really like it at 3 just because, like I said, Droll's everywhere, and then sometimes it's a little awkward to bait out an effect and then start using these, so but I think it's good to play some number of them, and like the 1 talents and then some targets, but could potentially cut it down to 1 and then adjust from there, but kind of see what the format shapes up to. but that's like just kind of like a baseline of what I'm thinking right now. And then for the extra deck, Dolka, Lagia, Lars, Dugares for the XCs. These three come up all the time. Dugares sometimes. Then Lynx, Anima, SP, and Reaperdocus. This is for the Lars combo. When you're going first, you just need like a card to make under the lock to help get your stuff engraved. But I like these are the ones you make mainly. The rest is kind of just like flex slots, to be honest. It's like whatever. Got Phoenix, Unicorn, access code. These come up sometimes, especially if you get like debarriered. Can help you just win the game off that. If you get called for like XCs, you can still climb into these plus UCT. Got the Donner. This is there because I'm playing Fenrir on the side, and this is good with Kashtira cards and Lost World sometimes, so just threw it in there. Then the last few cards are Slayer targets. Got the Tri-Brigade Link 5, Garura, Aggregator, and Malong. Yeah, this extra deck's really, like, it doesn't matter for the most part. You really only use, like, these 5 up here, like, a lot, and then the rest is kind of just utility. So, it's really flexible. If you don't want to play Slayer, you could just put other stuff in here, like Typhon, Zeus, Baguska, Mirage, and Secure Gardener, really whatever. But it doesn't really matter too much, to be honest. Then for the side deck, 3 Droll, you just want this in some matchups. 3 Ash, 3 Imperm, just 9 hand traps, just to be able to put these in against decks that board breakers aren't as good as. And these are all flexible for if you need to go first, or if you think your opponent might make you go first, which does happen quite a bit. So I think it's important to have cards on the side that have good utility when you go first or second. And speaking of good utility when you go first or second, there's 2 Fenrir. You could potentially main these if some of the non-engine ends up slotting around in the main deck, but just wanted to have more impactful stuff game 1 when you know you're going first or going second, as opposed to post side when you could go first potentially, where these would be a little better than something that's a hard going second card. So I think they're good. Book of Eclipse, 2 of them, same thing. It's a pretty good card going second. Sometimes it can get ashed, which if you have another breaker, it's not that bad to trade for an ash since your engine's weak to the card. So I like Eclipse in this deck. This could potentially be moved to the main deck. I'm just not really sure yet, but that's something that can decide as the format gets a little more underway. But I think it's good. And then if you do put this in and you get made to go first, or you just need another card to put in going first, this card's pretty good to just set, and then after your opponent does some stuff, you can flip their board, and then it might get you to the next turn a lot of the time. So I like Eclipse a lot. And then I'm just playing 2 traps for thrust targets, D-Barrier and DDG. Both of these are good. Different Dimension Ground's good for like the graveyard decks, like Fiendsmith stuff. It's good against Memento, stuff like that. And then D-Barrier is just D-Barrier. It's a good card against a lot of decks. So that's kind of where I'm at with the blind second version of Dinos right now. Like I said, the format's still very new, so I'm sure things will change, but we'll see. I got a couple other decks that I'm messing around with right now too, like Fiendsmith Unchained. Still looking at Fiendsmith Ryzeal as far as like meta stuff goes, so probably post those at some point too, in addition with the other versions of Dinos, since I know that's what most people want to see. But we'll see when I get around to that. But thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Peace.